things go bad, can you keep saying yes? When things seem all a mess, can you still say yes? You know those yearbook, you know how they remind you and you're going on Facebook and memories from a year ago. Have you found that tab? And so I was going through that. I always go through it, but this last few times has been real painful because a year ago was the reality that we found out the tragedy that my husband had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. We're in February, so a year ago, February, he was still in the hospital, about to get released right before his birthday. And there were many brutal months before the diagnosis and after. I have a meaning for this, so hang on with me if you've already heard this story. Before the diagnosis, later in the last year, I don't know if this is possible to have this much happen, but October 3rd, 2021, he was involved in a fire accident. We were burning stuff, cleaning up debris for the movers. And probably the one time I didn't go out there with him, I was packing china with a friend, had a friend coming over. And I'll never forget it. I put a piece of china down and looked out the window and he's fully aflamed. 3rd-degree burns over 30% of his body. That was pretty intense. And in the midst of that, we moved to land. We couldn't find a place, so we ended up living in a little camper. But I want you to know that I continue to say one word to God: yes to the design and frequencies of my purpose. So we're living in the camper. He's getting worse and worse. Finally, I saw a memory on Facebook. I probably shared it. All the kids came. And the reality, hey, we got to get him in the hospital. And then the diagnosis about a year ago that he had pancreatic stage 4 cancer. So, as I said, there still had to be a yes inside. The yes to be a wife besides my dying husband. That yes meant I put down all the things I was working on. Kingdom Mentor Academy, I was starting my voiceover career. Kingdom Mentor podcast, I just had to set that down. Because he passed 4 months after the diagnosis, and it was a gut-wrenching death. So I mourned. I sat. I decided to activate a hope deferred. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but it's a dream fulfilled and a tree of life. So I decided I'm going to go visit 3 of my best friends in Australia. So I spent 2 months in Australia. Halfway into my visit, my heart started to get recalibrated. Believe me, I mourned. In another country, boom, just like, oh, it was great, but it was like I had many times where it's like, hey, I just need to be in my bedroom that Lynn provided. So I got home and I spent time with my children as I did the next thing. When I mean do the next thing, sometimes you don't do what you want to do. You just got to do the next thing. The next thing for me to provide for me as a single person was to substitute teach. That was in Forsyth County. That's been interesting. So I started to do something though. Okay, as January came around, I started just continuing to say yes to my dreams and my purpose, even though I'm substituting and those things aren't happening. Then this is it, a little yes to Jessica Shakur's Yes Lord Collective of all things. Joining that brought me face to face with some women who are really speaking to my life. Elena Vandemeter, look her up on Facebook or Instagram. Whoa, just kind of like in the vein of Dr. Caroline Leaf, but for some reason she really spoke to my heart. But I kept saying yes to each of these modules in the Yes Lord Collective. And then I met someone else, Molly Trotter, who's the co-founder and director of field development of Girl Power Alliance. So I said yes to the Alliance. I also met Caitlin on this Yes Lord Collective of Sound Waves. I said yes to start getting help for my voice as I go in the studios next month to do a voice acting demo. So all these are yeses. I guess what I want to say is God put in front of me a lot of choices, as I'm sure he will do for you. But each of those yeses that I'll say were months of pouring my heart out and asking God to meet me in the valley. We're talking months. And it was funny. I told my mom yesterday, it's like all these yeses are happening, Mom. I've got Zoom voice Nike training. I've got Caitlin asking me to answer these questions. I've got Girl Power Alliance. I've got 2 meetings tomorrow with some of my former members. It was just so funny. But the yeses were coming in. And one of the thing that I had just pleaded to God, I said, God, can I just stay home? Can I just stay home and answer the phone or something? That's voice Nike. And then I knew I was going to continue with my voiceover, but that's a process. So tomorrow I meet my final meeting, find my scripts to go into the demo. See, this is all happening at once. But it started in one place where God met me in the valley. I said yes to him first. Then I started asking him questions about all these areas, my dreams, my hopes that I'd set down. He said no to the Kingdom Mentor Academy with just me leading it. I said that was fine with that. I understood. But he met me, just him and me. So now, almost 8 months, he's bringing me back up to air, like yesterday, to follow my dreams. First with Girl Power Alliance, with voice acting and Nike voice services. So I ask you, where are you? Are you in a valley? Stay put in the secret place. I know I've read on Facebook, some people have lost their husbands, lost their mother. Mourn, go through the process. I'm still going through the process, so I'm not trying to ignore it with all these things. So you'll know how and when it's time to come up for air. You know, there were just months where I just would get up, turn the worship music on, and I would just soak. I would just not go anywhere, like 4 hours just soaking and praying and talking to God and crying. But I bet when you come up for air, you'll know it. And I bet that coming up for air will start with your saying yes. Do you know all his promises are yes and amen? What will you say yes to, friend? You know, I'd like to end this with a vine dresser word. That was my very first vine dresser devotional, Listen to the Vine Dresser. And when Jessica was starting the Yes Lord Collective, I'm like, where is that? I have a yes, Lord. And it was in the first one. So I'd like to say yes to you, or something you can say yes with a declaration. So I want you to do this right wherever you are. Who cares if you're driving? Listen to me. Who cares if someone's around? Just hunker down. Let's say this declaration together. I'm saying yes to God. I am chosen and dearly loved by him. He chooses me. He chooses me. He has a purpose for my life. Now, will you do something? Let's see what he has to say. Listen to the vine dresser. I hear your yes, child, the vine dresser. Father, going through the vines. Jesus, the vine where the branches, the vine dresser, the Father, going up and down the rows and taking care of us. He's talking to you. I hear your yes, child. I see your yes that says you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Just as I hold the clouds in their place in the sky, so I hold your worn heart. It's not too heavy for me. You can do this. You can take that step forward past the hunting, past and even the painful mishap that happened just days ago. Your yes to me activates grace, breakthrough, and favor. It's not a doing thing, but a being thing. Your yes to me says you really know who you are in me, in the vine. So I really do hear your trembling voice say yes. It may feel like a shallow echo in your soul, but it is a thundering, cloud-ripping roar in heaven. Your yes makes my angels stand at attention to move and minister on your behalf. Your yes tears asunder the bars of a prison you may be in, whether it be real or a prison of your own making. The vine dresser goes on to say to you, your yes is sweet as a grape on the vine to my ears as I drink the wine of your devotion. So say it again, child. Say yes to me and watch every yes turn into a breakthrough of my bountiful favor, a bundle of provision, and a peaceful entrance into deeper intimacy with me. Your yes aligns my purpose for you. It's all meant for you. Your destiny by design in the vine. So when you say yes, it means the yes of God. And sometimes he said your life is like a sweet wine, but sometimes you're in the crush to be that sweet wine. So like I was in the crush last year, I kept saying yes to God. It was hard taking care of Dave. It was hard dropping everything, but I did. It was no brainer there. But I believe that it's time for you to say yes to some things. Maybe yes to a change. Maybe yes to making money online. Maybe yes to some real self-development. Maybe yes to community. I know I love all those things. So in about 25 minutes, I'm going to meet with former members of the Redeem Your Voice Camp. So I said, the voice camp is no more. I can't one person do all that. But I found an alliance where they were all Christian women. It's self-development, it's learning marketing, it's learning a way to make money. It's all these women. I didn't know there were that many women who are so successful and so amazing helping me. So I'm going through self-development as I share the self-development. So it's kind of like, I think of it's kind of like a Redeem Your Voice camp, but I don't have to lead it. I just get to join in and introduce some of my past voice members in to see if that's something they would like, because I kind of dropped them. Some of them I really dropped. I'm sorry. Some of them stayed with me even after I dropped them. You know who you are. I mean, amazing. Month after month, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I saw a video, Redeem Your Voice Camp, when I was out on the land. I couldn't find live. Usually I did live once a month. And this is when it was in the neck of Dave just being in pain, and we didn't know he had cancer. And I watched one. It was like I was setting the camera up on a tree because we were out on the property, the promised land. And I was like, I was still sharing. I was still pouring out. I had something to pour out because the word was sustained. Anyway, I say all this to say that you're really important. Sometimes the simple word of yes really does make the angels stand in attention. Maybe your yes needs to be in the midst of a divorce, in the midst of a child that's just gone off, in the midst of a circumstance that's so painful, in the midst of trying to find a home to live in. But sometimes when you sit and wait and keep saying yes, because I really believe your yes lines up to God's yes, and God's yes, behind God's yes, all the promises of God are yes and amen. So if this spoke to you, let me know. Share it with a friend, because a lot of us need to know that the yes is real and the yes can happen. So I'll talk to you in the next video, and I really do.